let's get it started. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to our seminar. My name is Daniel. I'm the project manager of Imperial Capital Developments. I'm honored to be here to represent our team to do this presentation. So today's topic is about pre-construction to-do list, because we're frequently receive many inquiries on what they need to address before they start their dream home projects. Well, initiating the physical construction is absolutely significant step. Putting the shovel into the ground is important. However, getting a knowledgeable understanding of the importance of possess and necessary tasks prior to host has equal importance. This really places a great influence on the ultimate achievement of the construction projects. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So this is a typical construction schedule for a project between 4,000 to 5,000 square feet. As you can see, it takes between 12 to 14 months for the construction projects. But actually, your project starts before the actual construction starts, and that's what we're going through today. So this is the table of contents that we're going through today. So I'm going to start with zoning review, then we're going to look at committee of adjustments, then permit application, we're going to talk about interior designs, and the checklist we need to look at before construction starts, and then the tendering. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can ask me in the last session, but feel free to ask me any questions at the end of each part. So we're going to start with zoning review. That's the very early step and the process we need to go through before you're applying for building permits. So zoning review process enables the city to gain inside info, the external appearance of your proposed structure. It proposed is to ensure that the proposed building aligns properly with both measurements and placements of the neighboring existing structures on the property. Oversight of this process is carried out by a designated zoning examiner. They are responsible for assessing the applications in accordance with the specific building bylaws applicable to each jurisdiction. To identify the necessity of the documents, kindly refer to the display material on the slides. So, for the zoning review process, you need to get a surveyor to prepare a survey. Then you hand over your survey to your architects to work on site plans. And also, you need to submit the floor plans, interior elevations, and cross sections, along with the site plan surveys for the zoning review process. This is the fee structures for zoning reviews, and this chart is based on City of North York. What we need to look at is the second one from the top. So new house additions, conversions, and alterations to the houses. So the fees is $595 and 77 cents. But the fees varies from different municipalities. If you apply Markham in Richmond Hill, the rate might change. So this is the end of the zoning review part. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, so after zoning review, there are two different ways. If you comply to all the zoning bylaws, then you can continue your building permit applications. If you want to, despite the zoning bylaws, you want to build a bigger, taller, and more unique homes, then you need to go through the committee of adjustment process, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So this is a photo of the actual public hearing. The zoning, applying zoning bylaw is a necessity the city also possesses the capability to provide applicants with a degree of flexibility in bringing their dream home to reality. So if the proposed structure remains within reasonable limits of the zoning regulations, a meeting will be scheduled where applicants can present their case to the councilors, justifying the approval of their proposed modifications. Subsequently, to an evaluation if the reasoning is applicable. The approval may be granted, and the final decision rests upon both councilors and your neighbors, as they collectively determine the fate of your committee of adjustment applications. It is important to note that a surge in objection letters from your neighbors could potentially diminish the likelihood of a successful committee of adjustment approval. So getting along with your neighbors are important, especially the ones beside you guys. So the one, if it's not a corner lot, the one on the right-hand side, left-hand side, and at the back are important to your committee of adjustment applications. So getting along and get supportive neighbors are important to the committee of adjustment process. And it does require some of the techniques. So as a builder, we deal with these neighbors all the time, so we know all these techniques. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask after the seminar. So this is a rough timeline for committee of adjustment process. So it takes between 3 months to 4 months from the pre-application stage to the final binding decisions to the end, except if your application got refused and you want to continue to fight for your case, then you need to go to a different department called TLAB, which is Toronto Legal Appeal Body. It's like a small court. You don't like the decision by the committee of adjustment, you want to continue fighting for your case, and this is the upper management you need to go with. And this process takes up to 3 years. So, I mean, typically, people will just compromise for the decisions from the committee of adjustment because 3 years is a long time for a custom home project. So, but there are always rare cases. The client wants to continue fight for what they applied for, but that's rare. It's very subjective. It's up to the homeowner. So let's continue. So the forms, there's some documents you need to submit for committee of adjustment applications. Supporting materials are similar to the materials that you submitted for zoning review. Basically just architectural drawings, site plans, and surveys. It's just a different department from committee of adjustment. They're going to review the drawings again to see all these minor variances are applicable or not. For the fees, the minor variance fees, we should look at the second one, residential dwellings with 3 units or less, which is $4,026.96. So that's the end of part 2, committee of adjustment. Do you guys have any questions?
I do. So I always contacted those homeowners, is it mandatory for those homeowners to leave their phone number and email at the COA?
So that's required by the city. So if you have your applicant as your builders or architects, they put their information, but also the actual homeowner's information are required to be provided for the committee of adjustment process. So yes, and the city will post your contact information publicly online so that everybody has access to it. For example, your neighbors. If your neighbor wants to talk to you about this, then there's your contact information. Okay, so the next part, we're going to talk about permit applications. So it doesn't matter you go for zoning review or committee of adjustment. The whole point of doing it is to apply for building permits. So we're going to look at small residential additions and new house builds. I'm going to use these two examples to present the permit application process. So we're going to look at new house. The only difference between the additions and new house is the city wants to look at more about your lot, so they require you to provide log rating certificate and log rating plans. So the documents on the left-hand side, are done by your architects, and also along with the architectural drawings, you need to have the structural engineer to provide structural drawings and also the HVAC drawings. And the documents on the right-hand side, these are just a bunch of forms you need to submit along with your drawings. So here I want to talk about for architectural drawings, structural drawings, and HVAC drawings. Right now, the going rate on the market right now for them to do the drawings is between just under $10 per square feet and goes up to $50 per square feet. That depends on the architectural firms you pick and or the individuals you pick. The square footage we're talking about here is the gross floor area. So it's the first and second floor above ground area. So if your house is 4,300 square feet, and then if you convert it to metric, because that's the next part we're going to look at, the fees. As you can see, the fees are calculated based on the price per square meter. If your house is 4,300 square feet, then if you convert it to metric square meters, so it's just under 400 square feet, then your permit fee equals to 1716 times 400 square meters. So the number just comes under $7,000. That's how you calculate your permit fees. So the next part is interior design. So when it comes to interior design, the first question from the clients are, do I need an interior designer? And why do I need an interior designer? So that's the first question we're going to answer here. So there are a few determining factors on if you need an interior designer for your custom home. So there are a few cases you probably don't need an interior designer. And the first one is if you have, as a homeowner, if you have a lot of experience or previous experience on building houses, renovations, you know exactly what you're looking for, you can see through the process, you know you can guide the builder to build your home, same as what you're envisioned for. In this case, you don't need an interior designer. Or the builder you work with have the interior design background, they can guide you through the process. In that case, you don't need an interior designer. Or it depends on the type of contract you sign. If you're signing a construction management contract, which is very typical for custom builds, you probably need an interior design to work with your builder in order to get to achieve the final vision that you have for your house. If you're signing a design build contract, normally it's already a part of the contract, it's built into the price. In this case, you don't need an interior designer. And also, I want to talk about when you actually need an interior designer, because some clients, they have some of the style they like to coordinate into their house, but this information are all in pieces. You need an interior designer, a professional person who has the background to put all these pieces together to show it on the plan, so your builder can achieve the final product that satisfy your final goal. That's when you need an interior designer. So the next part we're going to talk about is the cost and scope. The going rate in the market right now for interior designs is between $3 to $10 per square feet, and this square feet we're talking about is the total floor area. For example, if you want to do interior design throughout your house, you want to do it on first, second floor, and basement, then the area will be the total of the above times the $3 to $10 per square feet. And the price varies, depends on the interior designer firms or individuals you pick, and that also depends on their popularity and experience. And also, there are ways to save money. Some of the clients, they don't want to spend too much on their interior designs. Then what we need to do is just pick like designated areas. For example, the most important areas of your house, the ground floor, second floor hallway, your master bedroom. You can do those areas under the instructions of interior designer. And the rest of the areas are less important, requires less designs. You don't have to do the designs. You can just work with your builder. And always consult with your builders when it comes to the interior designs. Like us, we have a lot of interior designers we work with, and so consult with us. We can get you a better rate compared to the rate that on the going market. Interior design scope, normally in the interior designer's package, it includes the floor plans, furniture plans, lighting plans, reflected ceiling plans, general cabinet drawings, and also they're going to help you to pick out your tile, your trim, your plumbing fixtures, and your hardwoods. That's all part of the interior design packages.
What is a reflected ceiling?
It's like you're standing in a room and look up. Then it shows the location of your tall lights, and if you have promoting issues. So any questions for interior design?
Is the interior design include HVAC?
No, HVAC drawing will be a part of the building permit applications. That's actually mandatory for the city.
It's
So
different.
that's by a different designer, yes. So HVAC drawings will be done by a HVAC designer.
Okay.
So the interior design only look after the cosmetic stuff. Okay, so I will continue to the next part. So what we're gonna look at is the checklist for the homeowners to look at before construction starts. So building your house, it's important to pick a good designer, a good builder, and also their due diligence the homeowner needs to do by themselves before construction starts. Here are the things I listed out on this slide and the next, but not limited to. So for example, as a homeowner, we need to apply for gas, hydro, and water disconnection prior the construction starts. And typically these utility companies takes a while for them to finish the disconnections, especially the Enbridge. It takes between 3 to 4 months. So it's important to leave enough time for these utility companies to do disconnections so it doesn't affect the construction starting dates. So just come along, you need temporary powers on site for the trade to use. You need to do your tree protection fences to comply to your arborist report. You need to have safety fences around your site, so that's a safety for the city. You don't want anybody to trespassing to your site. And you need to have a temporary toilet for the walkers to use on site before construction starts. It's just more items on this slide. So you have to post all your permit signs on site at all times. So when the Ministry of Labor comes on site, they are going to check if you have a building permit and also the notice of project. And when the city comes to do a city inspection, they need to see all the permits and a set of permit drawings on site at all times. And you need to have safety instructions for the workers who's going to work on site. Site office not mandatory. And so the items here is basically the city wants to make sure there is no contaminated materials on site. If there is, it has to be removed by professionals. So the next part we're going to look at tender. Do you guys have any questions for the checklist before construction?
I do. So who usually apply for those utility disconnection, like homeowners or the building?
It's normally done by the homeowners because when you call these utility companies, they can only speak to the homeowner who's under these accounts. So that has to be done by the homeowner.
Daniel. So some of our clients haven't bought the lot yet. Can you say that if it is better to buy a lot with the permit or without a permit? Or what should we look at if
I mean, it really depends, right? So if you know the project well and whoever is selling the lot giving you enough information about the previous permits, then it's good to have the permits. Then you can save the time that you spend to apply for permits, because if we're going committed adjustment, then the permit process will last maybe 6 to 8 months. That's quite a long time. So in that case, it's better to have a permit. But sometimes there are people who are selling their lot with permits, but they're not providing enough information. Then you end up spending more time to trace and communicate with the city to find out what's the status of the permit. Sometimes the permit expired. So it really depends on the situation individually. But overall, have a permit with a lot saves a lot of time. So yeah.
And the decision of the committee of adjustment will last forever, right?
Yes, if you want to continue to fight your case, like I said, you probably have to take it to TLAB, and then that takes up to 3 years. That's a very long time.
The building permit lasts for how long?
The building permit lasts, I think, you have to build your house within 2 years after the building permits are issued.
But the committee of adjustment lasts forever. The decision of the
that decision lasts forever. If there's a record in their system, that decision always stands. Unless the city promote new zoning bylaws, then that might change the case. But the possibility is very slim.
So do you recommend to disconnect all the services before the house is closing or after?
Well, if your buyer is if the previous homeowner is very nice, they can help you. There's no tenant in the house. If they can help you to disconnect these utilities, that'll be great.
But that will affect the mortgage rate.
Yeah, that's going to affect the mortgage. So it's really a case-by-case situation. But it's always good to have the utilities disconnected before the house closes. So any other questions? Okay, now we're going to continue to the last part of our presentation, which is tendering. So tendering process should start ahead of obtaining the building permits, because it helps the project to get a good start and also helps the client to have a more accurate estimate. So as a builder, Imperial Capital Developments has profound expertise and experience on crafting efficient quotations and fostering strong relationships with exceptional workmanship traits. Having all these traits secured prior to commencing the construction will proactively mitigate numerous potential issues and result in substantial cost savings for projects' financials. So I can give you guys an example. So once the foundation wall has been constructed, so the next step will be the rough carpentry. So it's kind of hard for a builder to check without proper equipment that whether the top of the foundation wall will be level. If your top of the foundation wall is not level, after the rough carpentry to lay their bottom plate, there's going to be gaps between the top of the foundation wall and the sill plate. So if you don't have a rough carpentry and then you paid your previous foundation guy in full, and after your rough carpentry come and work, they see the top of foundation wall is not 100% or level, they're gonna go back to you, and it's kind of hard to now call the foundation wall guy back and fix it because you already paid them in full. It's always to have the next trade in line who can assist you to check the part of the work that matters to them. It helps you prevent a lot of issues, save your money, and save your time. So the next slides I'm going to show, this is the typical tendering process by us. So what we normally do is after the homeowner sign an agreement with us and provide us with the documents that is submitted to the city for building permits, we will attach all the drawings and we're going to make our own scope of work and send it to the trades that we normally work with, or the trades are new from you guys. And also I want to emphasize on, so if we sign a construction management contract, it's always welcome to have the homeowner's trades to participate in the tendering, because the tendering process is very transparent. You can bring your own trade to participate. So when we send out the emails, we're gonna let them know the collection date. So basically they will know there's a deadline for their quote. So any quote came in after the collection date will not be valid. And after we collect all the quotes, we're gonna review the quotes, we will do the quote comparisons. And after that, we're gonna call a meeting and meet with all the homeowners. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna present the quote comparison to them and give our recommendations on which trade we think is the best that fits the project. And the best price doesn't mean it's the best for the project. For example, if your house is 10,000 square feet, there are rough carpenters out there has a crew of 4. They can give you a better price, but the size of the crews is not for your project. They're too small. It's going to take 3 to 4 months. If you find a rough carpentry has more capabilities, maybe with a crew of 10, that will make sure the project will be on schedule. Because for construction, time is also money. The earlier you finish your project, that means for investment, it's the shorter time for return of profit, and for people who are taking a loan to build the house, that's also saved on the interests. And in the end of the day, the final decisions will be made by the homeowner, because this is your house. We're here to assist you to build, we're here to recommend, but the ultimate decision is by the homeowner. This will be the end of the tendering process, and this is also the end of our presentation today. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
I have a question.
Okay.
So we have some clients always ask me, hey, can I bring my own? I mean, for the tendering, can I bring my own trade people? Why do they choose the builders, the bigs?
So it depends on the type of contract you sign. If you're signing a construction management, yes, you can bring your own trade. If you want to sign a lump sum, all-inclusive contract, you just want us to build according to the drawing you provided, then you won't be able to bring your own trade. It will be decided by us. So it depends on the type of contract you sign.
Are those the only 2 kinds of contracts?
Well, there's more, but for custom homes, those are the 2 typical contracts people normally sign. But there's also design build, but that also means there are more responsibilities for the builders, and that means a higher rate.
So to be more specific, let's say zoning bylaw requires 1 parking space. Okay, so I get a variance. Let's say I don't need any parking, but later on, if I decide, oh, I need the parking after all, do I need to apply for another variance?
Yes, you do. You do. Because, so whatever, if you go on a minor variance, right? So you do your zoning review first, with all your proposed items, right? If these items doesn't include any parking spot, and later on, you want to apply for a parking spot, you have to do a zoning review again. And then the city will tell you if that's a variance or not. Then you will decide if you want to go to committee of adjustment or not.